All right, guys, welcome back to the shack. I got another review that I got to get caught up on. I've had the machine in the shop for a few weeks now, actually. I've been waiting on the air assist and some other parts to come in for the machine, but apparently they're delayed. And I want to go ahead and get this review done because I know a lot of you are shopping for machines this time of year. Some of you may be looking for your first machine. And the machine I'm going to show you is from a very reputable manufacturer, and it's got some really nice features. And I think it's something that a lot of people may be interested in, especially if you're new to the hobby or if you've already got one laser and you just kind of want another one to kind of lend a hand on some stuff. This might be one you want to look at. It's actually kind of impressed me. So stick around and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so this is the machine that I'm talking about. And this is a new whole spin on machines from Atomstack. This thing has features that I've never seen with an Atomstack machine before. It is slightly smaller. The work area is closer to being 300 by 300 rather than 400 by 400. So if you're needing a massive work area, that's going to be a little bit of a negative for you on this machine. But before you write it off, guys, I'm going to go over some of the things that I like about it and that I've noticed about the machine. It does come in either a 10 watt or a 20 watt range. Technically, I think this one's 24 and the other one's 12, but you get the idea. The machine is basically what you see is what come in the box. All right. This one did not ship with the air assist, so I'm running it on shop air, but it's been doing me a really good job. Some of the things, and I want to do this real quick before we get into some of the cut results and everything. I just want to point out some things to you. All the cabling comes out on the side over here, away from where you are. Guys, the assembly on this thing, there basically is none. You have to mount the bracket for the module, put the bracket on there, connect the hose, connect the wire, do a little cable management, and you're done. This machine, I also do know, later in the year, they're going to be coming out with an enclosure top for it. It has its own air assist pump. It has its own rotary chuck set up. It has its own honeycomb. And they're also coming out with a enclosure that attaches to the machine. So it'll be kind of like some of the other machines you saw in the market. So that's going to be a game changer for some of you guys, especially if you're just wanting another machine to have as a backup or use to do some, engraving or some tumblers or something like that. The machine is built different than most every machine I've seen in the shop as far as the square-bodied machines, in the fact that the frame comes put together. This is basically a unibodied machine. The outer frame is one solid piece of stamped metal. It does have the rods inside the frame rather than having linear rails or whatever. It has rods, and then it has the bearings that allow it to slide on there. It also comes already equipped, hooked up, ready to go with a drag chain as well as a little tray inside there for the drag chain to run in. And like I said, I'll get you some overhead shots so that you can kind of see this stuff. But the module is very similar to a lot of the other Atomstacks that I've had in the shop. The one big thing that they have changed is they've added the crosshair to it, which I don't use the crosshair. I use the laser dot. They've kind of reinvented the air assist cone from the other Atomstacks that I've had, where it uses the more bowl-shaped air assist cone. I like this design better as far as the way the air assist nozzle and everything's put together. It just seems that this design would afford it more standoff and a little more cleaner environment in there because it doesn't allow a lot of the other debris and stuff to come through from the fan. The module, it has a little added cone that just kind of screws off right there. I've been running the machine a good bit, and the lens is staying really clean despite the fact that this little nozzle has been catching, a little bit of debris from the cut. So that's one thing that I kind of do like the new design for the air assist compared to the older one. I've even threatened to try to find me one of these to put on the 8er because I like that design. Now, I wish they'd have gave you a little switch or something to cut this red crosshair off. It'll probably end up getting a piece of tape or something because, like I said, I don't use it. The offset, you would have to go in and set the offset and everything for it. And I prefer not to use it, especially with a machine that already has a smaller workspace. If you use the red crosshair, you're going to lose the offset. You're going to lose that on one of your axes. I think the red crosshair with them shrinking the workspace, I think that was not really a great idea. But if you're one of those people that like having that, then it is there. But when you go to light burn, you're going to have to set up the offset and get that thing to working. Me personally, not going to be using it. It does have the keyed switch, so when you're not using the machine, you can lock it out. If you have small kids or whatever, that could be a concern. Also, I like the fact that when this machine powers up and connects and everything, you get a tone from it. That's pretty helpful, so that you know that that machine is what has connected to Lightburn if you're like me and you run multiple machines. Also, the safety shield, if you choose to leave it on there, it's magnetic, so it comes off really, really easy. The one other thing about the machine, other than the little red crosshair, that I wasn't a fan of, and the reason is because I like to take the covers off, is this is the focusing tool. Now, it works great if you have the cover on there, but if you take the cover off like I do, it doesn't work so well. So what I did basically is I made myself a little focusing tool. All you've really got to do to make your focusing tool, guys, is take this off of the machine, put it on top of this, measure the thickness here, and then measure the thickness on the engraved side between the top of this lens and the bottom of that. Cut you a little piece with those two measurements, and voila. Now you have the ability, you take this little guy here and just stand it up under the machine, lower the machine with your left hand until it touches the top of it, tighten it back up, and you're focused. It does have two thumb screws on the left side. So, you know, if you're really worried that it's going to come loose, you can tighten both of them, or you can tighten one, whichever. I usually leave one loose and just tighten one at a time, and it's worked well for me. You'll notice on the gantry here, it has the rollers similar to some of the other machines that I've had in the past. But so far, it's a really smooth running machine. The 24 watts has plenty of power. It does have also an interface for the chuck, and it's got a little button or switch on the inside here to where you can plug that in and then flip that switch and it automatically goes to the chuck. So that's kind of cool. That's something we saw with some of the other machines in the past, but it's kind of died off here lately. But I'm glad to see that they incorporated that with it as well. So all in all, guys, it's a sturdy little machine. It is smaller workspace, but it's sturdy. So if nothing else, I can say that. And the diode and the power output will surprise you. So let's get to some of my findings as far as speed tests and that kind of thing. All right, guys, so as far as cutting goes, Atomstack says that they've compressed their spot a little more on some of their newer machines, and I'm thinking that maybe they have with this one because it does a really good job. Some of the other modules that I have or have had from Atomstack that were 24 watts, this one seems to cut just a little bit better than they did. It has a really fine kerf on most of the materials that I've tested it with, and running air assist, it's doing a really good job. So with my 1/4 inch Luan that I usually use, and this stuff, it can be stubborn at times, I'm getting some really good speeds. You can see there all the way up into the 10 millimeters a second. I was getting some nice drops. Once you get close to 80%, it starts failing. But to be able to get clean drops on this stuff at, 8 to 10 millimeters per second, that's pretty good. Normally, to be able to get those kind of drop speeds, I'm going to be in the 30 watt range. So that's impressive, especially for a 24 watt machine. I did some 1/8 inch material. This is just some Luan that I use from time to time, and didn't run the proper air assist on that one, so it's a little scorched up, guys. But as you can see, I'm getting drops all the way up to 14 millimeters a second. And like I said, that's up there with most of my 30 watt machines as far as being able to get a clean drop and continually and effectively. So I was really happy with that. So once I got through finding out whether the thing would cut or not, I decided to try to do a little engrave, see what kind of a spectrum I could get out of it, because this machine does advertise to run insane speeds. So I wanted to see typically around 300 millimeters a second. It's about as fast as I want to run. So I did a speed test to see how well it would do up to 300 millimeters a second. And guys, it done really well. You can see I've got a nice gradient as you go across, and it's still marking pretty dark up at 300. Normally 300 would be really, really faint and almost look white, but it's still doing a pretty good bit of marking. So as far as engraving speed, using the 24 watt module, it's got really good potential. So I ran a few more tests, just kind of making sure that everything worked the way it was supposed to. I've done some of my calibration tests, because really, guys, you don't have to adjust anything on the machine when you get it. Some of the other machines, you have to put the belts on, you have to adjust the concentric nuts, that type of thing. With this machine, it uses the steel rollers on the steel rods, and then on the sides, it has the rods with the bearings on the gantry. So there's not any concentric nuts that I have found anywhere to be adjusted. And so that's another thing that I think some people may like, is the fact that it comes out of the box. You put a plate on there, add the module, a little cable management, plug some stuff in, and you can be engraving. All right, guys, this was pretty simple. Add the little bracket for the module first. I would hold off and put those thumb screws in after you have the module on there, because you'll see me hang up with it. Once you do that, you get the module on there. You see the hose and the cable. Those basically go from the module over to that black box on the gantry. You get that cable plugged into both locations, hose, same thing. Then do a little cable management, add the Wi-Fi antenna, and bam, you're ready to plug everything up and get to making smoke. Now, that's really nice. But keep in mind, it is going to be closer to 300 by 300 than 400 by 400. So if bigger is what you want, then be sure to remember that. But as far as its potential, I did several different mediums and played around with some settings just to see what kind of results I could get from the machine. Because like I said, with the spot size appears to me to be finer than the typical 24 watt Atomstacks that I've ran before. So played around with a little slate, did a speed test. And as usual, guys, with slate, it takes the engrave really, really well. Speeds are very, very forgiving. If you just get close to where you need to be on the speeds, the engrave looks great. I did, however, perform my own little speed test just to see where I wanted to land, and that's what I came out with. So it worked out pretty well, and I'm making things that I don't have to throw away. So too close to Christmas to be making stuff that I'm just going to throw away, right? So then I decided I wanted to try it on some hardwood. With the fine dot size, I felt like it could do a pretty good job of engraving. And so I dug through my scrap and found myself a piece of white oak that I kind of threw over there. And this is what I come up with on the white oak. This is my little bass that I usually use. And guys, I don't know if you can see the detail in that thing, but it's very, very detailed. And I run this at a pretty high speed. And then I downloaded a file off the internet, off of Etsy, and kind of helped out one of my fellow Etsy shops because I didn't feel like taking time to make a file. And I got me kind of a deer with a flag behind it to start using on some stuff. And done a really good job on that as well. And keep in mind, guys, this is oak. It does have heavy grain. And so you're going to be able to see the grain in the design, but it still looks pretty good to me, even though you can see the grain. So I decided that, you know what, I'll take that file and I'll just run it on some Luan just to see. I mean, Luan is not known for being the best image quality material, but I wanted to try it. And so I did this. And it turned out pretty well, guys. I mean, that's Luan. This piece of wood probably cost me 50 cents. So it looks pretty well. And if I took my time and got the sander out and kind of hit it with the sander just right, I could probably get it to look even cooler, but it done a really good job. Now, this did take quite a while because I ran the speeds based on the speed and power test that I did here. And so I ran it at like 200 millimeters a second, 100% power. And it took a while with like 318 LPI. The 318 LPI was probably a little overkill. I think that's why I got a little bit extra burn on it. But like I said, as I play with the machine and do other things, I'll kind of tweak that and try to get that dialed in a little bit better. The folks at Atomstack.com are the ones that sent me the machine, and right now on their store, they've got it listed at $529.99 for the machine. That's not bad if that workspace isn't a big killer for you. It's like I said, engineering looks good. Not a whole lot you need to do to the machine when you get it out of the box. So, you know, if you're less than mechanically inclined, that may be a good selling point. All right, guys, I'm trying to get my head above the water on all the reviews. Luckily for me, this is the last one that I've got scheduled and I've got anything in the shop for now. I've been working today on a video of some more mirrors. So if that's something you're interested in, I've got some 10-inch mirrors that I'm going to be doing. I've made the file so that you can cut the mirror and the frame on a smaller machine, even such as the Atomstack A24 24 watt. So stick around. If you haven't already, guys, hit the subscribe button, hit notifications. And if you're interested in this machine, as always, there'll be a link down below. Click that link and just let Atomstack know that the Clack Shack sent you out. So until next time, guys, be safe and have a good day.